If you're wondering why is there a continuity error where the sun was up before and now it's down, it's because I don't actually have control over any of the heavenly bodies. Other than this one.
Delicious.
When you need some dough, you don't know where to go in this patriarchal capitalist hellscape. Well, here's the sitch, we're gonna help you, sis, because bitches get riches. Bitches get riches. Bitches get riches. Bitches get riches. And so can you.
What you are about to see is going to be pretty graphic. And that's because today I'm going to torture a metaphor to death. I am sure that it's going to be hard to hear. At times, it was hard to write. I honestly was almost at the point of walking away from this entire idea when I heard my favorite Bible verse, John 3:16, ringing in my memory. For Kitty so loved the world that she gave one of her favorite movies, that whosoever believeth in her should not go broke, but have eternal cash. Today, I'm going to explain some of the most foundational concepts in personal finance philosophy. These are the ideas that underpin really everything that we talk about on this channel about the purpose of money and the value of labor and the dangers of exploitation and the systemic injustices that entrench power imbalances within financial systems, and also ideas for what you can do to free yourself from its grasp. And we're going to talk about all of that, but because that sounds incredibly dry and boring as fuck, we're going to talk about it through the lens of something that is not boring, which is the Shawshank Redemption.
You're so far away.
Yes, I know it. I can't help it.
All right, if you have not seen The Shawshank Redemption, I have 3 questions for you. First question, are you some kind of Alexandria dumbass? Second question, how? Logistically, how did you get from 1997 to the present without ever watching cable television during daylight hours? Because for me, I was homesick eating Campbell's Chunky classic chicken noodle and club crackers with TNT on in the background, and this was just playing on a constant loop. So if that isn't your lived experience, I don't know how to relate to you as a human being, but I'll do my best to try. Third question, why are you watching this and not The Shawshank Redemption? Pause this. Go to 321movies.russia.info or wherever the hell we're getting movies nowadays and just go watch it first. It's only after you've done that that you're allowed to return here and continue on. 142 minutes of narration by Ellis Redding, played by Morgan Freeman. That is the necessary prep work that you need to open your heart and expand your mind. Okay, so before we even get started, I wanted to touch upon an important note about language. The personal finance community loves the phrase financial freedom, and we use it a lot too, because it is a very useful concept. But sometimes we find it gets used too lightly, too thoughtlessly. When you use a word like freedom, you're kind of inviting its antonyms into the conversation. Words like slavery and captivity and imprisonment. And those conditions are the lived reality of people, real people, both historically and in the present day. And those conditions are really devastating, and they should never be conflated with lesser concerns like, oh, I have mild financial hardships or a general sense of career ennui. Tanya Hester has a really thoughtful article on this subject. It's well worth reading, if only for the extremely juicy top comment. Ooh. When we talk about financial freedom, what we mean is having a totality of reasonable choices. Basically, that you can do whatever you want to with your life without finances being the sole thing that's holding you back. And there isn't a really great specific word in English that captures exactly that meaning of freedom. There's also no good word for its opposite, which is someone who is in a position where they have few or no choices. So it's a little bit tricky to respect that distinction linguistically. Now, The Shawshank Redemption is a movie about being literally imprisoned. It's also one of the most popular movies of all time. Interestingly, one of the most popular books of all time is The Count of Monte Cristo, which is another story about an innocent man who is falsely imprisoned and then eventually escapes to mete out justice and then peace out as like a super wealthy globetrotter.
Count of Monte Cristo
That's Cristo, you dumb shit.
by Alexandre Dumas. Dumbass.
Dumbass. Dumas. You know what that's about? You'll like it. It's about a prison break.
Well, we ought to file that under educational too, oughtn't we?
These stories must be popular because they speak to a universal human experience, and obviously I don't think that that experience is literal imprisonment. Rather, I think it's the fear of having all of your choices taken away, followed by the power fantasy of having limitless choices. And that's really the context in which I want to connect these ideas today. It's as a metaphor that anyone can connect to based on their universal human fears and desires. Hopefully that makes sense. Now allow me to introduce you to your situation. This is you. Your name is Andy Dufresne. You are making this unhappy face because you just realized something truly awful, which is that you are destined to spend the rest of your life stuck inside a prison for a crime you did not commit. This is Shawshank. It's a prison, and it's where you live right now. The operative theory behind prisons is denial of choice. It's a punishment because it takes away your ability to control your own life. You can't eat what you want, you can't sleep when you want, you can't capriciously pursue whatever ideas and activities interest you, you can't travel where you like, you don't get to spend meaningful time with the people who you want to share your life with, and you cannot leave, even if you really, really want to. This is what makes prison such a severe punishment. Our lives are defined by our choices. When you deprive someone of their choices, you force them to waste their limited time on this earth doing shit they don't want to do. All of the minutes passed inside of a prison will be less meaningful than those spent at liberty. Imprisonment sucks out your total lifetime happiness by stripping away years' worth of opportunities to pursue whatever it is that makes life worth living for you. Stuck wasting your life doing shit that you don't want to do. Does that sound familiar? If your alarm went off this morning and you woke up feeling still tired, why didn't you turn your alarm off and just go back to sleep? If filet mignon is your favorite meal, why didn't you have it for dinner last night? If you've always wanted to scale the heights of Machu Picchu, what's stopping you from booking your flight to Peru right now? If you realized you want to become a doctor, why haven't you enrolled in medical school? If you're like most people, your answer is almost certainly some variation of, I can't because I can't afford that. I think this is why so many people relate to stories about being wrongfully imprisoned. We all can connect with the idea of feeling like we live inside of a system where we don't have full control over our lives. And that's because you do live within a prison-like structure, and that's deficit. Each month, you need to pay out money in order to survive and live a modest, normal person life. You need money to buy food and water and clothing and shelter and transportation and education and leisure. So let's say that all of these humble needs can be met with $1,000 a month. Unless you were born into really extraordinary circumstances, no one is ever going to just hand you $1,000 a month, meaning it's incumbent on you to go out and collect it every single month. And that means that you start each month with a big portion of your time already committed to just gathering enough resources to not fall behind on the following month. You are bailing water just to keep afloat. This is what makes deficit feel like a prison. It locks each day into a routine that you didn't choose and prevents you from pursuing a life lived to your fullest potential for happiness. And the more hours you need to spend to appease that deficit, the less free you're going to feel. Okay, so let me introduce you to some of the fine folks you will meet on the inside. These are the sisters. They represent your debts. The sisters are not what got you into prison. Defeating them will not get you out again, but nevertheless, they make every day so goddamn miserable that you can't possibly contemplate escape for as long as they are waiting around every corner ready to wreck you afresh. Debts are honestly the worst part of being stuck inside this cycle of deficit. They kick you when you're down, they steal the small amount of extra resources you're able to accumulate, and they follow you and they harass you and they work together to gang up against you. They are the first problem I think you should tackle inside of the prison of deficit because they're just so fucking awful. The problem is that debts are big and bad and you need backup to fight them.
What?
Meet Byron Hadley, the captain of the guard. He represents your job. He is a powerful ally, and he has access to all of the resources that you will ever need. And if you ask him to, he will beat your debts so badly that they'll never walk again. He just doesn't do it for free. Full-time employment with good pay and benefits is still the easiest way to build the stability that you need to eliminate debts. They provide a steady stream of income without the uncertainty of entrepreneurship or the exhaustion of constantly hustling. But just wanting a job doesn't make one appear, and the drawbacks to it can be almost as strong as the benefits. Jobs gobble up about half of your working day, more if you need to commute or you have to work long hours or multiple jobs. And you spend lots of time working to make your company richer, which often saps you of the energy that you need to attend to your own needs. You have to answer to bosses who you might not respect and work closely with people you might not like in order to complete projects you may not give a flying fuck about. So yes, your job can help you pay off your debts, but it's on its own horrible terms. The captain of the guard is a really fickle man. You need him way more than he needs you, and he can drop support for you whenever he chooses. We live in an era where employers are markedly more powerful than their employees. Businesses have safety nets that normal people just don't get. We have passed so many laws designed to protect business interests that they basically operate in a world without real consequences. A confluence of factors has made work generally scarcer, leading employees to settle for lower pay and longer hours and rougher treatment. And we've never really fully recovered from that. Labor unions are weak, wages have stagnated, and benefits are less robust than ever. Toxic so-called right-to-work laws have invaded over half of all states in America. Employees en masse have all of the independence and ferocity of a thoroughly beaten dog.
What are you Jimmy staring at? Back to work!
Let's go, work!
I do believe that the pendulum will swing back eventually. It just hasn't yet. And that means that your employer, your Captain Hadley, is many magnitudes more powerful than you are. The most important thing to remember is that your boss is not your friend, your job is not your life. Work may help you beat the shit out of your debts, but do not forget that work can just as easily beat the shit out of you. Work can fuck you up in ways that debt never could. If you've ever worked in a toxic workplace, or you've had your benefits contested, or you have faced workplace harassment, or you've been laid off at the worst possible time, you know exactly how emotionally exhausting and financially impairing work can turn out to be. So, in summary, you can use your job to fight your debts, but ultimately, he is an unreliable ally. He has his own goals, and anytime they conflict with yours, his are gonna win out. He is a cruel and capricious fellow. But if you play your cards right, you can manipulate him to your own ends. Both your job and your debts are serious problems, and they can fill each day with small, exhausting challenges. But you can never forget who your true enemy is. Upon the chessboard of soapstone and alabaster that you have meticulously carved during your free time in prison, he is the single most powerful piece.
I believe in two things: discipline and the Bible. Here you'll receive both. Put your trust in the Lord. Your ass belongs to me.
Meet Warden Samuel Norton. He represents our entire financial system. I hate this guy so much. This round glasses having son of a bitch fucking sucks. At first glance, he presents himself as clean and fair, but it doesn't take many interactions to deduce that he is really a smug dissembler. He is utterly at ease with horse-choking levels of hypocrisy and cognitive dissonance. Although he's careful to never get his hands dirty directly, he is perfectly capable of horrifying levels of oppression and violence. He thinks of his prisoners as animals, and he uses them as a source of dirt cheap labor. He's completely comfortable using any illegal or reprehensible tactic so long as it personally enriches him. He does not care about justice at all, despite the fact that he claims to act in its name all the time. His unquestioned totalitarian control is a kind of self-perpetuating power that threatens to keep you locked away in Shawshank for all time, regardless of whether you deserve to be there or not. Basically, he is a crooked jerked. He is a crooked jerky jockey, and he drives a crooked hoss. Okay, so when I say the financial system, I want to note that I am not really talking about a monolithic force. This system, or rather these systems, they're not crafted by individual politicians and economists who are basically like port-swilling anime villains. There isn't a bunch of nefarious elites who all get together in one oak-paneled conference room to intentionally craft sexist taxation structures or racist credit scoring systems. Unless it's the Heritage Foundation, they do that. Rather, this system is a collective. It is the sum of its parts. I am part of the system. You are too. Our vote within this system is our money, and the way that we spend it influences the entire system. It is a flexible framework that is built on the constant push and pull of purchasing decisions that all of us make every day. And these purchasing decisions are influenced by a lot of things. There's small things like your personal psychology and your preferences. There's big things like financial laws and social pressure. And then there's enormous things like culture and human history. The more money you have to spend, whether that's as an individual or as an institution, the more influence you can exert upon the system. American workers work more than ever before, yet we are treated to an ever-diminishing share of the profits of these labors. Income inequality is at an all-time high. The wealthiest 10% of Americans own 93% of the stock market, even though market participation is at an all-time high. The top 1% owns a full 50% of the market. Wealth distribution is also royally fucked. Billionaires like Jeff Bezos make more money in 30 seconds than you make in a year if you're an average American, and yet he pays less in taxes than you do. We are being ruthlessly replaced whenever possible with cheaper and cheaper sources of labor, including AI. American workers work more hours than workers in most developed economies, including Germany, Britain, Canada, Australia, and even Japan. Yet we are also among a minority of developed countries that don't mandate a maximum allowable work week, don't offer paid parental leave, don't offer paid sick days, or mandate annual leave. Average productivity per American worker has increased 400% since 1950, and yet the standard of living for normal people in the 1950s was higher, as a single earner could afford a house and support a family and afford childcare and education for 2 to 3 children and go on modest yearly vacations, and retire with a pension? Or so the ancient scrolls claim. So why is this allowed to continue? What keeps this shitty system in power? And it's really simple. It's your deficit. People who operate at a deficit are easy to exploit. For example, let's say that you can't afford groceries this week. You might put those groceries onto a credit card. The credit card company will charge you a pretty considerable amount of interest to borrow that money, making them even more unaffordable in the long run. Your poverty directly enriches their industry. This is also how mortgages work, and student loans. If you don't have enough money for these things, which are to one degree or another necessities in our culture, you are penalized with a higher eventual price tag. This takes away any opportunity that you have to enrich yourself and gives that opportunity to an already wealthy institution instead. In this way, your deficit helps your bank and your creditors and your job. After all, how many of us would continue to work unpaid overtime if we didn't need to? How many of us would buy things on credit if we didn't have to? It is our desperation that creates these opportunities for our exploitation. I know more than a few people whose job barely outpaces the cost of not having a job. Whatever they have to spend in childcare and extra commuting costs alone is usually enough to gobble most of their paychecks whole. And naturally, now there are a host of services that are designed to make life easier by charging money to outsource the daily tasks of living that we no longer have the time and energy to attend to ourselves. Things like cooking and cleaning and driving and drinking and shopping and running errands and going to the grocery store and keeping yourself entertained and keeping yourself cared for and keeping yourself calm and keeping yourself sane. This is the truly insidious nature of the system. It gluts itself on your hard work and shares back the bare minimum of profits with you. Then it bombards you with products and services designed to strip you of whatever you have left over. You are the warden's dirt cheap labor. Your deficit is the source of his authority, and he uses that authority to create more deficit in others. He is a shameless pit of greed that can never be sated. No amount of money or power will ever be enough for him. He wants to keep you locked away inside the cycle of deficit for the rest of your natural life. But you don't have to worry about the warden. His judgment cometh, and that right soon. You're Andy fucking Dufresne, and you know there's a way out. To escape from Shawshank, you have exactly one tool. That tool seems laughably small and weak compared to the guns and the guards and the dogs and the barbed wire that the warden has at his disposal. But that one tool is the only one you will have to escape Shawshank forever. Your tool is a rock hammer, and that rock hammer represents your discretionary funds. Let's say you earn $1,000 a month and $900 of it goes toward the stuff that you need to live every day. The $100 that you have left over is open to discretionary spending, and that is the most powerful tool you will ever own. You can use this tool to tunnel your way to freedom. It might take you 19 years, but at the end, you will be free. Of course, the rock hammer is contraband. Every single business on the planet wants to confiscate it from you. The more discretionary money you have, the harder companies will work to try to get it from you. You will be tempted in ways that are scientifically devised to work against you. Marketers and salespeople and influencers, these are hired thugs to come and collect from you. You've had a long day. You've worked so hard. You've earned this. Go ahead, treat yourself. And those are valuable ideas. You have worked hard and you have earned this. And you should treat yourself, but not to their stupid products and solutions, to things that actually make you happy. Okay, here's the thing. You need your discretionary money more than anyone else because you need it to escape. Each of those dollars is a tiny tool, and they are the only tools that you will ever have to achieve financial freedom. That $100 represents your power to get out of the rat race, to retire early, to work for yourself, to travel, to live life on your own terms. This is the most fundamental lesson that we can possibly impart to you. This is the ultimate secret of money. In personal finance, money is not the end game. It's freedom. Imagine a reality in which more money came out every month than went in. What would your life be like if you didn't owe anyone any money? How would it feel to not have rent or a mortgage to pay every month? What if you even had passive income streams that filled your accounts each month automatically? What if your cost of living became so low that a full-time job was no longer a necessity, but an option? That would mean that you have a surplus. And that's what it truly means to escape the power of the system. I want to square with you that this is an extremely difficult goal. There are few people who reach it in their lifetimes. It may even be functionally impossible for some. After all, not everyone's cell faces the wall of the prison. Financial freedom is an uphill battle for anyone, but it's harder if you were born to poor parents or immigrant parents or racial minority parents. It's harder if you were born a woman or if you're disabled. It's unfair and it's unjust and it needs to change. If you listen to us on a regular basis, we talk a lot about specific achievable cultural and policy shifts that would actually make the world a more equitable place, but you will never hear us pretend that that is not our current reality. That said, financial independence is still the prize upon which we encourage you to keep your eyes. Even if you fall short of attaining a fully automated money-making Rube Goldberg machine of perfect financial safety, every single step toward a surplus comes with fantastic benefits. Each one of them helps you obtain financial stability and reclaim autonomy over your energy and your time, and potentially allow you to one day act as a pillar of support to others in your community. Along the way, you're going to spend less money, you're going to buy less crap, you're going to fuck up the planet a little bit less, you'll be better prepared for emergencies, you'll be debt-free. No one will ever come and take a hunk out of your paycheck first. You will always be the first in line to spend your own money. Unless we're talking about taxes.
Dumb shit, what do you think the government's gonna do to me? Take a big wet bite out of my ass is what?
No, we're not talking about taxes today. Shut up. You will get to make decisions again instead of everything being decided for you. For all of those reasons, I think it's worth it to try, no matter how long it takes. As you take these steps toward total escape, more and more options will open up to you. The immediate benefit of your escape is obvious. You're living life on your own terms. You get to spend your precious few days on this planet doing exactly whatever the hell it is that makes you happy. But there's a side benefit as well. The more prisoners escape, the weaker the whole system becomes. Remember, it is prisoners that give the warden his power. If enough people escape from this cycle of deficit, the system will be forced to respond. And maybe it would change, hopefully even for the better. I think it's important to point out that in the Shawshank Redemption, Andy does not devote 100% of his time and energies to his escape tunnel. He spends time with his friends. They watch movies together. He carves things out of stone for fun. He builds a library in the prison, and he uses his talents to help others. He even takes risks and endures setbacks to gift the other prisoners some meaningful experiences. It's kind of easy to forget when you've seen this movie a million billion times that Andy had no idea that his little tunnel thing would ever actually work. He could have dug and dug for a decade and found his way blocked by something that could not be dug through. He could have drowned in the sewer on the way out. He could have been caught within a day. Life does not develop meaning by accomplishing one huge personal project. And thank God for that, because projects fail so easily, all the time, for reasons that are way beyond your control. They especially fail when it's a really audacious goal that nobody else around you is going for. Andy had patience, but he was never single-minded. If he had died inside the walls of Shawshank, he would have left a legacy of kindness. He inspired others towards self-improvement, and self-improvement for its own sake, not to please parole boards or to gain something out of it. And he did things because they were fun, because he liked doing them, because he needed a break from digging. And I really, really need you guys to remember that. Here at Bitches Get Riches, we really, really hate the rise and grind mentality. You know, the idea that success can only be achieved through constant, never ceasing hustling. And if you're struggling, it's your fault because you just don't want it bad enough. Ugh. That kind of black and white thinking is frankly dangerous and stupid. It ignores a huge reality, which is that you are a human person who only has one ticket to ride around on this planet, and you deserve to feel pleasure on that ride.
Open it up! Dufresne, open this door! Turn that off! I am warning you, Dufresne, turn that off!
Pursuing financial freedom will so often put you in a position to deny yourself pleasure. You will often find it wise to forego, some fleeting, unsatisfying pleasures to chase whatever it is that you truly want. And that's fine. But please remember that pleasure is awesome and everyone deserves it. It is not the exclusive domain of people who have already accomplished big, important life goals. It is for everyone. This is not Glengarry Glen Ross. Coffee is not only for closers. Coffee is for everyone. So open your library. Watch some Rita Hayworth movies. Play some chess. It is not worth doing if you arrive at your ultimate destination as a broken and alone person who has forgotten how to feel fucking joy. Zihuatanejo has everything that someone like you could want. Clear skies, warm nights, a fresh start, meaningful work done at your own pace. A space for all of the people closest to you. Zihuatanejo is the rest of your life, lived exactly the way you want to live it. Now, in our minds, Zihuatanejo is not endless luxury. It's not a mansion and a fleet of fast cars. It's not champagne at every meal. Gross, I would puke. It's not servants and admirers. It's not Rita Hayworth on your arm. It is a humble and wholesome dream that comes from a spiritual understanding of the things that make you truly, deeply happy. Everyone has a Zihuatanejo. You may not know where it is or what it looks like now, but you have a lot of time to think about it. Maybe it's moving to another country, or opening a small business, or fixing up old cars, or doing charitable work full-time, or painting every day, or sitting on your goddamn ass and doing nothing but drinking goddamn umbrella drinks because you do not owe the world your consistent productivity. Whatever it is, it's something you keep in your mind at all times. Whenever you're tempted to spend your discretionary dollars on things that do not substantially contribute to your overall happiness, just remember your Zihuatanejo. With enough strikes of your rock hammer, you can crawl through a river of shit and come out clean on the other side. You, headed for the Pacific. If you'd like some help discovering what your Zihuatanejo is, we have a couple of free exercises that you can go to our website and try. And if you're struggling with your Captain Hadley, you are not alone. Jobs give us money and power, but they demand so much from us. Sometimes the balance gets thrown off, and it can be really hard to recognize when that's happened and to make a plan to escape from that situation, which is why we have a whole ass course about it. I know I'm biased, but it's great. It's the best stuff we have ever written. It is full of very personalized exercises and actually actionable advice. We're really proud of it. If you are burnt out and losing hope, we wrote this for you. So check out the show notes for links to all of those resources. And if you like what we do and you want us to keep doing it, please join us on Patreon. Patreon donations allow us to pay our staff a living wage, and it keeps corporate sponsors far away from our content, which is where we like them. And hey, what is your Zihuatanejo? What's put you on the path of financial freedom? What is that dream life that you're working toward? I love hearing about those, so I would really love to know. Please tell me about them in the comments. Until next time, thanks for listening. Bitches out.
I'll feed you big tacos after this.
Oh my god, I gotta do this so that I can have the tacos. I've got rhythm, I've got music, I've got incredibly powerful chi. Mr. Great. I feel insane. Mr. Great. As a giant woman,
You can crush anyone.
I can crush anyone. Interjection. I'm right about everything. I love tacos. And you.